In the fight for love, expression, and authenticity, many brilliant souls were taken too soon. Actors, artists, musicians, activists, and visionaries, each of them shaped the world, broke barriers, and inspired generations, only to be stolen by an epidemic that took far too many. But their stories did not end with their passing. Their legacies live on in the music that still plays, the films that still captivate, the art that still moves us, and the change they sparked that continues to shape history. At Rainbow Spotlight, we remember them, not just for the battles they fought, but for the lives they lived. They were bold, they were fearless, they were irreplaceable. And today we honor them with the respect, gratitude, and remembrance they deserve. Because while AIDS may have taken their bodies, it will never take their light. Number 1. Freddie Mercury, the voice that will never be silenced. Some legends fade, but Freddie Mercury will never be one of them. His voice, his presence, his energy, they live on, electrifying every note, every stage, every heart that beats to the rhythm of Queen's music. Born to command the spotlight, Mercury redefined what it meant to be a rock star. His flamboyant performances, his unparalleled 4-octave vocal range, and his ability to turn music into magic, he wasn't just an artist, he was a revolution. Queen sold over 300 million albums worldwide, making them one of the best-selling bands in history. Hits like Bohemian Rhapsody, which spent 14 weeks at number 1, and We Are the Champions, voted the greatest song of all time, ensured Mercury's immortality in music. But behind the glitz and glory, Mercury fought a private battle. Diagnosed with AIDS in 1987, he kept his illness out of the public eye, choosing to spend his final years creating, performing, and giving the world the best of himself. In his last statement, issued just one day before his death, he declared, "I have always been a very private person. Now it is time for my friends and fans around the world to know the truth." On November 24, 1991, the world lost one of its greatest voices. But his words still echo through stadiums, his music still ignites hearts, and his spirit still roars through the anthems that made him eternal. Because Freddie Mercury didn't just sing, he roared, and his roar will never die. Number 2. Wade Dominguez, a rising star gone. Too soon. Wade Dominguez was on the brink of Hollywood greatness when fate cruelly intervened. Best known for his role as Emilio Ramirez in Dangerous Minds, Dominguez had the kind of screen presence that couldn't be ignored. Intense, magnetic, unforgettable. His portrayal of a troubled but hopeful young man in Dangerous Minds was more than just acting. It was raw, real, a reflection of a world too many knew too well. His chemistry with Michelle Pfeiffer anchored the film, which grossed $179.5 million worldwide and became a cultural touchstone for a generation. He wasn't just a rising star, he was a beacon of what could have been. Off-screen, he was a model, musician, and a man who defied Hollywood stereotypes. His talent was undeniable, his potential limitless. But in 1998, at just 32 years old, Dominguez lost his battle with AIDS, a future stolen far too soon, yet his presence still lingers on screen. His performance, his intensity, his unforgettable final scene, they keep his memory alive. His character's haunting words in Dangerous Minds now feel eerily prophetic. "You don't know what I can do." And that's the greatest tragedy. We never got to see what Wade Dominguez truly could have done. Number 3. Howard Ashman, the man who gave Disney its voice. If you ever sang along to Under the Sea, wept at Beauty and the Beast, or cheered as Aladdin outsmarted the genie, then you felt the magic of Howard Ashman. He wasn't just a songwriter, he was the heart of the Disney Renaissance. As the lyricist behind The Little Mermaid, 1989, Beauty and the Beast, 1991, and Aladdin, 1992, Ashman's words gave Disney characters soul, humor, and unforgettable emotion. His songs won 2 Academy Awards, 2 Golden Globes, and 4 Grammys, but his greatest achievement? He revived Disney when it needed him most. His words shaped childhoods, but behind the fairy tales, Ashman was fighting his own battle. Diagnosed with AIDS in 1988, he worked tirelessly, writing lyrics from his hospital bed, guiding animators while undergoing treatments, pushing through pain to create the magic we still cherish today. When he passed away on March 14, 1991, at just 40 years old, the world lost a genius, but his words live on. The final song he wrote, Prince Ali from Aladdin, was released posthumously, one last gift to the world. His partner, Bill Loach, accepted his posthumous Academy Award for Beauty and the Beast with words that still resonate. He gave a mermaid her voice and a beast his soul. Because Howard Ashman's magic, it will never fade. It will. Number 4. Steve Rubel, the king of the night, who made the world dance. If you stepped through the velvet ropes of Studio 54, you weren't just at a nightclub, you were inside a cultural phenomenon. And at the center of it all, Steve Rubel, the man who turned disco into a revolution. In the late 1970s, Studio 54 was the most exclusive, most extravagant, most legendary club in the world. It wasn't just a place to dance. It was where celebrities, outcasts, icons, and dreamers came to be free. Rubel, alongside business partner Ian Schrager, didn't just create a club, he created a movement. Mick Jagger, Andy Warhol, Grace Jones, Liza Minnelli, Elton John. If you mattered, you were there. And if you weren't, you wanted to be. But behind the glitter and glamour, his world came crashing down. In 1980, Rubel was arrested for tax evasion, serving 13 months in prison. His comeback was cut short when he was diagnosed with AIDS in 1985. He kept it a secret, confiding in only his closest friends. On July 25, 1989, at just 45 years old, Steve Rubel passed away. His final words to Schrager, "I just ran out of time." But legends don't run out of time. They live on in every beat, every song, every dance floor where freedom reigns. And Steve Rubel, he will always be the king of the night. Number 5. Willi Smith, the designer who made fashion fearless. Before streetwear became high fashion, before gender-fluid clothing was a movement, there was Willi Smith, a visionary who saw the future before anyone else. As the founder of WilliWear, he built a brand that was bold, accessible, and way ahead of its time. At a time when luxury fashion was dominated by European couture, Smith broke the mold, blending high fashion with everyday street style, bringing color, movement, and inclusivity to an industry that had long been rigid. His designs were worn by everyone, from Wall Street executives to breakdancers in the Bronx. By the mid-1980s, WilliWear was generating over $25 million annually, and Smith was one of the most successful black designers in the world. But just as his influence was at its peak, tragedy struck. In April 1987, Smith was diagnosed with AIDS-related complications after falling ill in India. He passed away at just 39 years old, leaving behind a legacy that would inspire generations of designers. His motto, "Clothes should be useful, stylish, and affordable for everyone." And today, his impact can still be seen on the runways, in the streets, and in every designer who dares to defy the rules. Number 6. Denholm Elliott, the gentleman who gave Hollywood its soul. For decades, Denholm Elliott was the man who stole scenes with charm, wit, and an unmistakable screen presence. Whether he was playing Marcus Brody in Indiana Jones or delivering yet another critically acclaimed performance, Elliott wasn't just an actor, he was a master. With 3 BAFTA wins, a filmography spanning over 120 movies, and a reputation as one of Britain's finest character actors, Elliott brought sophistication and humor to every role he played. But behind the fame, Elliott's personal life remained deeply private. Though married, he was known to be bisexual, navigating an industry that often forced actors to live in the shadows. In 1992, Elliot was diagnosed with AIDS-related complications. He spent his final years in seclusion, passing away at 70 years old. His longtime friend and co-star, Sir Ian McKellen, once described him as the best screen actor of his generation. And the truth is, Elliot's magic wasn't just in the films he made, it was in the hearts of those who watched him work. His performances? Timeless. His impact? Unforgettable. Number 7. Robert Reed. The father America didn't know to millions of viewers, Robert Reed was the perfect father, the wise, loving Mike Brady on the Brady Bunch. Every week he taught valuable life lessons, becoming the TV dad of an entire generation. But off-screen, his own life was far more complex. Reed was a classically trained actor with a career spanning film, television, and Broadway. But while his character embodied the all-American family man, Reed himself was forced to hide who he truly was. A closeted gay man in an era when Hollywood refused to accept LGBTQ+ actors, Reed lived in secrecy, fearing that coming out would cost him everything. He often clashed with producers, frustrated by the show's oversimplified scripts, longing for deeper, more meaningful work. In 1991, at age 59, Reed passed away due to AIDS-related complications, a fact that was revealed only after his death. His former co-stars, including Florence Henderson, expressed regret that he had never felt safe enough to live openly. "He was a wonderful man, a dedicated actor, and a dear friend," said Barry Williams, who played Greg Brady. "I only wish he had been able to be as free as the rest of us." Though Reed never got to publicly embrace his truth, his legacy remains. He was more than just America's favorite TV dad. He was a brilliant actor, a kind soul, and a man who deserved to live without fear. Number 8. Ed Koch, the mayor who never backed down. Ed Koch was New York City, personified, loud, bold, relentless. As mayor from 1978 to 1989, he pulled the city out of economic disaster, revitalized infrastructure, and made NYC one of the most powerful metropolises in the world. But his legacy is complicated. Koch, who was long rumored to be gay, never publicly acknowledged his sexuality, even as the AIDS crisis devastated New York in the 1980s. Activists accused him of turning a blind eye to the epidemic, choosing politics over protecting his own community. Despite his successes in office, cutting crime, improving public transportation, rebuilding NYC's economy, his reluctance to address AIDS funding and LGBTQ+ rights remains one of the most controversial aspects of his career. In 2013, Koch passed away at 88, never having publicly confirmed his sexuality. His closest friends, including journalist David Rothenberg, later stated he lived in fear that coming out would cost him everything. His story is a reminder of a different time, a world where powerful men still had to choose between their careers and their truth. But New York, it will always be the city he helped save. Number 9. Roy Cohn, the lawyer who built and destroyed empires. Roy Cohn was a man who wielded power like a weapon. As the ruthless political fixer behind Senator Joseph McCarthy's anti-communist crusade, he destroyed careers, manipulated the legal system, and became one of the most feared men in American politics. He mentored Donald Trump, advised Richard Nixon, and was the ultimate backroom operator, a man who thrived in the shadows, pulling the strings of those in power. But his greatest contradiction? He was a closeted gay man who spent his career attacking the very community he belonged to. He pushed anti-LGBTQ+ policies, discredited gay public figures, and even worked against those fighting for AIDS research. Then, in 1984, he was diagnosed with AIDS. He denied it, calling it liver cancer, refusing to acknowledge the truth even as he lay dying. He had spent his life hiding, and he would die hiding too. Roy Cohn passed away in 1986 at age 59, a man who helped shape modern American politics but never found the courage to embrace himself. His former protege, Donald Trump, later said of him, "Roy was a brutal man, but he was my kind of guy." In the end, Roy Cohn's legacy is a lesson. Power without integrity is fleeting, and denying who you are, that's the greatest betrayal of all. They were icons, they were rebels, they were dreamers, each of them leaving behind a mark too deep to ever fade. Their stories remind us of the joy they brought to the world, the barriers they shattered, and the voices they gave to those who had none. Though they are no longer here, their spirits remain in every performance, every painting, every note of a song, every moment of activism that pushes us forward. At Rainbow Spotlight, we remember them not with sorrow, but with reverence. We carry their torch, we tell their stories, we ensure that their contributions are never erased. To those we have lost, you are seen, you are loved, and you are never forgotten.